walk in the door, there's a handout that has the warrant we're going to be going over tonight, and it has also the budget that we're going to be going over tonight, and it has a form, I believe, with notes on it at the back. Are there any other handouts that people have that anyone has brought in that we should be dealing with? I just want to make sure that no one has brought in any other handouts that might have some misinformation on it. So those are all the handouts that I think we should have. I think the next thing I will do is, why don't we start by pledging to the flag and start our meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. The first thing I want to say, I guess, is that, as most of you probably know, I did not sign up again to run for school district moderator. And to me, that's a good thing. It's been 23 years that I've been moderator, and it's been a good 23 years. And I want to thank various people, like all the clerks from the towns that help with the voters, and the clerks involved, and other people that helped along the way. I'm sure you haven't always agreed with all my decisions that I've made over the years, but I'd like to think that you at least thought that they were fair. And as I said at town meeting last year, when I resigned as town moderator of Plasto, I said that, you know, Kenny Rogers had a song called The Gambler. And he said, you got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to fold them, and you got to know when to run. Well, I'm not running, but I'm folding them, because I think it's time to move on and let somebody else take over. So I thank you for the 23 years, and we'll have a good night. Okay. That was probably my hardest part of the meeting. Okay, we've gone over handouts, non-voters. Let's go over some of the rules of the meeting. I have traditional rules that I've used over the years. You need to have a voter card to be able to vote tonight. This is a deliberative session. We're here tonight to explain, to debate, and to amend the articles. There's no smoking allowed in here. I'm going to use Robert's Rules of Order as a guide, and as a guide only. If you wish to speak, we have a microphone down here. When you speak, please give your name and the town you're from. Let's not resort to any name calling, and try to stick to the issues and treat others as you would like to be treated yourself. You can limit reconsideration if you'd like tonight, and you have a right to have a secret ballot. I can be overruled by a majority at this meeting, and any amendments that you'd like to make for us to vote on tonight, you need to put the amendment in writing and sign the amendment. And our 10% rule is in effect regarding the budget. No quorum is needed tonight. And I think that's about all the rules that I usually use. Are there any questions on those rules? Any questions? Okay. The next thing I want to go over is, I've been given a list of people who may wish to speak tonight that are non-voters, and I'll read to you the list of people, and after that I'll entertain a motion to allow them to speak, or some discussion as to why you would rather have one of them not speak. The non-voters who may wish to speak tonight are Richard LaSalle, the superintendent of schools, George Stokinger, the business administrator, Michael Elwell, district legal counsel, Kelly Killen, Director of Elementary Education, Scott Strange, Director of Secondary Ed, Edwina Levitt, Director of Pupil Personnel, Beth Rincon, Assistant Director of Pupil Personnel, Nancy Danahy, Director of Human Resources, Michelle Lozier, Principal Pollard School, Douglas Rolfe, Principal of Sandown Central, Michael Hogan, Principal of Timberlane Regional Middle School, John Holland, Director of Technology, Tony DeBartolomeo, Director of Music, Jim Hughes, Director of Facilities, Linda Hewer, Technology Coordinator, and Bob Dawson, Assistant Principal of the Evening Division. Do I hear a motion on the floor to have a vote on this? I'll give your name, please.
Sean O'Neill.
And a second?
Second.
Give your name, please.
Paycheck.
Is there any discussion on any of these people being allowed to speak tonight? Those in favor of them speaking, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. They'll be allowed to speak. If there's nothing else to be brought up, I will continue with the meeting. And if you will take out the paper that has at the top 2011 Timberlane Regional School District warrant, State of New Hampshire. I will read that and we will continue on with the warrant. Okay, it reads, to the inhabitants of the school district of the towns of Atkinson, Danville, Plastow, and Sandown, New Hampshire, qualified to vote in district affairs. First session of annual meeting, deliberative. You are hereby notified to meet at the Timberlane Performing Arts Center, Greeno Road, Plastow, New Hampshire, on Thursday, the 10th day of February, 2011 at 7 p.m. This session shall consist of explanation, discussion, and debate of warrant articles numbers 2 through 5. Warrant articles may be amended subject to the following limitations. Warrant articles whose wording is prescribed by law and shall not be amended. Warrant articles that are amended shall be placed on the official ballot for a final vote on the main motion as amended. Second session of annual meeting, voting. And it tells you that the voting on the warrant articles 1 through 5 will be conducted by official ballot, and it gives you all the towns in which they will be voting and the places where you will be voting that day. And then moving down to Article 1, election of officers. That's going to be conducted on March 8th, so we're not going to deal with that tonight because that's the towns, the terms, and the positions that you'll be voting on election day. So we're going to be moving on to Article 2, which is the operating budget. Shall the Timberlane Regional School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant, or as amended by vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein totaling $62,437,055. Shall this article be defeated, the operating budget shall be $62,708,119, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Timberlane Regional School District or by law. Or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Note, Warrant Article 2, the operating budget, does not include appropriations proposed by any other warrant articles. Majority vote required. That's your Article 2. Is there a presentation of the budget? Going to do that up here?
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator, we had some folks come in that don't have voter registration cards that are sitting down here.
Oh, if anyone has come in after we've got started, please go up to your supervisors and register and get a voter card.
This gentleman here and the gentleman in the back will receive voter
Unless you don't want to vote tonight.
I'm a member of the media.
Oh, all right. Do you need this one?
Good evening. My name is Michelle O'Neill. I'm chairman of the Timberlane Budget Committee. I'm from Danville. At this time, I'd like the members of the Budget Committee to introduce themselves, please. We'll start with Kate, the vice chair at the end.
Kate Rochford Atkinson.
Glenn Mullen, Danville.
Kathy Lisi Sandown. Chris Maffio Atkinson. Aisha Foot Sandown.
Joe Bucca, Plastow.
Michelle Ponte Plastow.
Thank you. What we're going to be talking about tonight are what we do as a budget committee. We've just gone over the members. We'll give you a historical trend of the budget, some of the major budget factors, the difference between the recommended and the default budget, and the tax impact. The budget committee is a group of people from your towns that you've elected to put together the school budget. We start in March, right after we get done voting in February, or after the vote in March. We have our organizational meeting 2 weeks after that to begin the process again. So even though the bulk of our time between September and December is putting the budget together, we actually get together year-round to put the budget and have meetings and discussions and so forth. In September and October, we have presentations from the administrators, the principals, and the department heads. They come to us with their wish list, the items that they would like to see put on the budget, knowing that some of it's going to get cut, but they let us know in advance what they'd like. We also receive reports from the superintendent, and then we also take input from citizens groups, our own committee members, and anybody else who has questions or concerns about the budget. Our budget process is we ask a lot of questions. We ask, some of the stuff we discuss may be $150, but it's still $150 on a $62 million budget. We then make changes and suggestions to the budget. The members, as they've just introduced themselves, we do have openings, just so you know, for this coming school year. We don't have people signing up for Plastow, Danville, or Atkinson. So if anybody's interested, get those write-in campaigns going now. The operating budget. The operating budget we're presenting tonight is a decrease over last year's budget. The 2011-2012 proposed budget is $62,437,055. The budget for 2010-2011, as voted by the voters last year, was $62,698,961. That's a decrease of $261,906. This budget is recommended by both the school board and the budget committee. Historically, as you can see, the trend line has been going down rather slowly the last few years. In 2007-2008, that budget was up 7.3% over the year before. That would be the 2006-2007 budget. Since then, the largest increase we had was last year, and this year it's actually down. Part of what the operating budget includes are salaries, retirement, tuition, transportation, employee insurance, other employee benefits, SAU administrative services. These are all items that we have very little discretion over on a budget committee. In other words, we need so many teachers in a classroom per state mandate. We can't tell the district how many teachers they have to have. They do it by classroom size, what's necessary. So the budget committee has no say in that. New Hampshire retirement. The retirement has changed. The state of New Hampshire is pushing more of that cost back onto the local towns. Used to be the state of New Hampshire would cover more. They used to cover, we used to cover 25%. Now they're asking us to cover 35% of our retirees' benefits So that comes back onto us, the taxpayers from the state. We have to tuition our special needs students out. Again, those are costs we don't have control over. Some of these students are in IEP, which is an individual education plan. We have no control over that. Sometimes the state mandates it, so we have to send these students to out-of-district placements, and we have to pay for that. Transportation costs, we gotta get the kids to and from school, and that cost has gone up. Employee insurance. Listen, whether you work for the school or anybody else, your insurance has gone up. It's just the way it is. So unfortunately, we have nowhere else to go but to the taxpayers. Then you have the SAU services. The SAU is a combination of the Timberlane School Board and the Hampstead School Board. The SAU board is those school board members, and they've put together an increase of $26,793 this year. So therefore, your total increase in operating budget for this year is $949,011. The good stuff, the decreases in the operating budget. Renovation and repair projects, utilities and energy, equipment, capital reserve, software, books, and information resources, and the bond interest. Renovation and repairs, a big part of that was the phase 2 of the high school lab. Last year, that was a part of the facilities budget. It wasn't a separate warrant article. We didn't take it out of any capital reserve fund. The facilities department funded that. Well, we're not doing any other large project that's necessary for the facilities department, so we're taking that out. Utilities and energy. Jim Hughes has done a fabulous job over the last 5 or 6 years in decreasing our energy costs. We have 11 buildings on the campus or throughout our district. I think 8 or 9 of them are Energy Star rated. We're the only school district in the state that has Energy Star rated schools. That's all thanks to Jim Hughes. He's replacing light bulbs, he's replacing windows, he's making these buildings energy efficient. And then as a result of that, we're starting to see a decrease. Our return on investment for the lights and for the windows is starting to show now. The capital reserve, again, that's always done from surplus money, so that's where that comes from. Software and books, what's happening is a lot of our stuff is going to the internet, just like everything else, Kindles, ebooks, Nooks. We're finding that we're purchasing less and less hardcover books, so our software and our book fund is going down. This is just a graph to show the balances of the increases and the decreases. Operating budget changes by major category. The difference between the 2010-2011 budget to the 2011-2012 budget. Our salaries and benefits increased $798,000, $44,000. A large percentage that's due to the teacher's contract and the benefits. We've had a decrease in the instruction-related materials of $208,066, and we had a facilities reduction of $824,745 and everything else, for a total decrease of $261,906. The salaries and benefits. For this year's operating budget, we're asking for a reduction of 7 full-time employees for a for a total of $209,693. There is an insurance increase of $51,375. The New Hampshire retirement increase of $420,662. And then the other extraneous Social Security, workman's comp, unemployment of $35,714 for a total of $798,444. Instruction related. This is again tuition, which is special ed and vocational. That's $71,678. A decrease in books and software, a decrease in equipment, and a decrease in professional services for an overall decrease of $208,066. Facilities. Again, the renovation repair was a decrease of $547,900. Utility decrease of $192,845. The interest that we pay on the bond every year decreases by $84,000. That's a total of $824,745. The other things, transportation contracts, an increase of $52,096. The school SAU number 55, an increase of $26,793. And a decrease in the capital reserve. Again, this comes from surplus every year, so we take it out. We have to show where it goes in and where it comes out. And that's a total decrease of $27,539. Then we come to our recommended versus our default budget. The recommended budget is $62,437,055. The default budget, if the budget is voted down, the default budget will be $62,708,119 for a difference of $271,064, or a percent difference of minus 0.43%. And the numbers are correct. If the budget is defeated, the default budget is higher than the recommended budget this year. Tax impact. This is what we're all here about, is how is it going to affect our taxes? Due to ongoing debate in the state legislature regarding the adequacy of grants, it would be premature and inappropriate to provide a tax rate estimate. Tax rates are calculated using property valuations, student enrollment by town, district revenues, prior year district surplus, and state aid. The state adequacy funding has changed for this budget year, affecting some towns significantly. However, this is expected to change again, as it is currently being discussed in the state legislature. Cost per pupil, the latest information we have is posted from 2008. Whoops. Sorry about that. The cost per pupil that's posted is for the 2008-2009 school year. The state average is $11,746. Timberlane's average cost is $11,298. We're right in the average. So if anything, we're a little below average. There's 37 districts in the state that spend less, and 124 districts that spend more. That's the end of my presentation. Election day is Tuesday, March 8th. Thank you.
Before we go any further, I think I might be remiss if I didn't give everyone a chance to get introduced like the Budget Committee did, so you could see who your leaders of the district are. Could we start with the rest of you and come on down and introduce yourselves at the microphone? Yeah. We're going to come across this way.
Lori Aubrey from Sandown.
And the mic's not on. Okay. Go ahead.
Lori Aubrey from Sandown.
Bill Baldwin from Atkinson.
Lisa Withy Plastow.
Jack Ione Plastow.
Nancy Steenson Danville.
Michael Mascola Atkinson.
Rob Collins, Danville.
Lou Porcelli, Sandown.
And over here on the front table, starting at the end and work this way.
Vincent Fenneberg, Assistant Superintendent.
George Stokinger, Business Administrator.
Michael Elwell, School District Attorney.
You have to excuse me. Richard LaSalle, Superintendent of Schools.
Elizabeth Costa Plastow.
Michelle O'Neill, Danville Budget Committee.
Thank you. Okay, we've had the presentation of your budget. Are there any questions or comments or amendments to make on the budget? Please come forward and give your name.
Thank you all for your work. My name's Kate Russell. I live in Danville. I have a question about the salaries. I'm wondering where the cuts are. That's number one question. And the second question has to do with the special education and vocational, where those cuts are coming from.
Anyone care to address those questions?
Yeah, I can attempt to. And again, I apologize for my voice or lack of voice. The positions are a combination of teaching positions and support staff positions. What we have done historically and continue to do in Timberlane is that the school board has passed a school board policy on class size, and as enrollments vary, we add or we subtract teachers based on that class size policy. And so we were able to, this year, reduce a certain number of positions based on class size. So it should look fairly stable across the district. It's just that because we have diminishing enrollments, particularly at the elementary level, we've been reducing, and this is a trend that's been in place for about 4 years. Another position that we have reduced is a custodial position. We reduced a custodial position at Sandown, and we're going to share somebody across the 2 Sandown schools. And then there are a couple support positions. Support positions are fairly fluid positions because many of the support positions are dependent on, for instance, a specific need of a specific child. There might be a child who needs a one-on-one. If that child graduates out, for instance, that position is no longer needed. So we actually recalculate the need on those, and we were able to reduce a few positions as well. So that makes up the 7 positions that we reduced.
Okay. So the second question has to do with the special ed reduction, $71,000.
Okay. I don't know if Edwina would like to come up and speak to that.
Well, initially, there's a $71,000 increase in out-of-district tuition.
So in order to mitigate that, you reduced $71,000 overall in the whole district? Because a child needed to be placed out of district?
Yes, there's an increase in the out-of-district tuition.
I see.
Line item.
Can you all hear what's being said up here on the microphone? Could you turn the mics up a little bit when they speak so they can be heard?
You really need to talk into the mics, and the mics need to be closer to them.
Okay. If you get a bit closer to the mics when you speak, I guess they can hear you better.
That's what you do.
Yes, ma'am. Give you a name?
My name is Edwina Lovett. I'm the Director of Pupil Personnel Services for the school district. And just to clarify that question, you are asking why the increase in tuition?
No, I'm asking why there's a decrease. I thought this was a decrease instruction related.
No.
Did I misunderstand that?
It's an increase
Oh, an
in
increase.
out-of-district tuition.
That's a good thing.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. Question answered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your work.
Are there any other questions? Yes, sir. Give you a name.
Dennis Heffernan, Plasto. I noticed there is a decrease here, and I look here and I see the budget committee. One person voted against this budget, and I was just hoping that one person could tell us why with the decrease, why they voted against that. Thank you.
Would anyone care to voice that opinion?
Well, I cast that vote, so I guess it would be me.
You got to get near the mic or they can't hear you.
Sorry. I don't usually get that complaint. Is this, can you hear me okay? The reason I voted against the budget is because I am concerned all of the increases that we saw in the budget this year are things that would be certainties, increases in pay and things like that. Whereas the offsets that were used to come up with that number, I think are less certain. For instance, decreased energy costs and lower health insurance costs, benefits costs. And my concern is that once we've given out the raises and the energy prices go up and the healthcare costs go up, as they are for me already, that we're going to come back and take the money out of teachers and books and education. So I think this is a very risky budget, and there's a good chance that if we approve this and we make the changes that are recommended, that at the end of the school year, we'll see our kids getting less education.
Okay, would anyone else care to ask a question? Make a comment, make an amendment? Are there any other questions? As I usually say, this year it's only 62 million. Okay. There being no more questions, then the budget, as you see it presented to you, will be on your ballot in March.
May I make a motion, please?
Sure.
Never mind. I'd like to make a motion to restrict reconsideration of Article Number 2.
Give your name, please.
Michelle O'Neill, Danville.
Needs to be a second to that motion.
Second.
Give your name, please, the second. Yes.
Elizabeth Costa, Plastow.
Okay. I'll call for a vote on the limiting reconsideration unless there's a question involved. You all understand what we're doing? Okay. Those in favor of limiting reconsideration, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. It passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to the next page, Article 3, Capital Reserve Fund. Shall the Timberlane Regional School District raise and appropriate up to $200,000 to be placed in the school building, construction, reconstruction, capital improvement, and land purchase capital reserve fund established in 1996, with such amount to be transferred from the June 30th, 2011 undesignated fund balance surplus available for transfer on July 1st of this year. Majority vote required. The funds for this article come from the 2010-2011 school budget surplus, not from additional taxes. Recommended by the school board, 7-0. Recommended by the budget committee, 5-1. Is there a motion to put it on the floor?
I'll make a motion.
Give me your name.
Michelle O'Neill.
A second? Give your name, please.
Nancy Steenson, Danville.
Okay. Is there a presentation on the article? There being no presentation, are there any questions, comments, or amendments to be made to the article? Any questions or comments? There being none, as it is printed, it'll be on your ballot in March. Article 4, Pollard School Kitchen Renovation. Shall the Timberlane Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $300,000 to renovate the kitchen at Pollard School and to authorize the district to withdraw the sum of $300,000 from the existing school building, construction, reconstruction, capital improvements, and land purchase capital reserve fund for that purpose. Majority vote required. The funds for this article come from existing money in the district's capital reserve fund, not from additional taxes. This article, therefore, will not increase the 2011 tax rate. Recommended by the school board, 7-0. Recommended by the budget committee, 6-0. Is there a motion from the floor?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Name, please.
Elizabeth Costa, Plastow.
How about a second? Give your name, please. Okay. Is there a presentation on Article 4?
I'd
Yes.
just like to speak to it briefly, if I might.
Go right ahead.
The schools of Timberlane have received multiple additions and renovations over a course of many years, and the schools have grown greatly. During those renovations, one area that was not addressed in the schools was the kitchens. About 9 years ago, the school board asked for a report to be done, basically assessing the code compliance, the efficiency, the safety, the effectiveness of the kitchens. And since that time, the district has been working progressively to improve the kitchen facilities across the district. Most recently, the Atkinson kitchen was renovated very successfully last year, and the year before, the Danville kitchen was renovated, bringing them again up to much more modern standards, code compliance, greater safety, greater efficiency. And the third project along that line is the Pollard kitchen, and that is what we are proposing and we're suggesting to the voters. Thank you.
Okay, there's been a brief presentation. Are there any questions, comments, or amendments to Article 4? Give your name, please, at the mic.
Martha Fowler, Plasto. How much money is in the capital improvements and land purchase capital reserve fund that we're taking this $300,000 from? What will that leave a balance of in there?
There's just slightly over $300,000. So it would essentially use the money that is there, and that is one of the reasons why we have historically the Article 3, the capital reserve, we have replenished that at a rate of $100,000, and that's one reason why we've recommended upping that to $200,000 this year. That we've been using that for the kitchen renovations, and then prior to that, we did the area for the autistic children at the middle school using that fund. So that fund has been well utilized over the last few years, and it's pretty well spent at this point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or comments? Any other questions or comments? There being none, then Article 4 is printed, will be on your ballot in March. Moving on to Article 5. Has the potential for being a fairly fast meeting tonight. 40 minutes. The quickest one I've had in 23 years. Article 5, General Acceptance of Reports. Shall the Timberlane Regional School District accept reports of agents, auditors, and committees as written in the 2010 annual report? Majority vote required. Have a motion? Yes, give your name.
Elizabeth Costa Plasto.
A second?
Michelle O'Neill, Danville.
So Michelle O'Neill makes the second. Is there any questions or comments or anything people would like to say under this article? Yes. Well, not to mention the Lakers and the Celtics come on in about 20 minutes, so make it quick.
When you go to the 21st century, you get a TiVo for that. I just have a quick question with this. Is it an RSA requirement that we need to accept this as a regional school district? This is, Richard, probably legal counsel could answer this one.
That is our understanding.
It's my understanding also. Yeah.
It's an RSA requirement?
Correct. Are there any questions or comments to be made? Then as printed, it will be on your ballot in March. Nothing else, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, folks.